I finally have time again. So we are back on our 07 STI. We should be able to get this thing started hopefully in the next 2 or 3 videos, assuming everything goes smoothly. Do I have everything? I think the last of the stuff kind of shows up this week, so we should be pretty mint on everything. So I got some more parts in. Let me show you what we got in. Let's get to it. We need to build a fuel system, get the power steering pump in there, get the turbo inlet in there, make some fuel lines. We got a lot of stuff to get this thing running, but we're pretty close. I did end up deciding to buy a Koyo radiator to replace the CSF. The CSF is just a little bit thicker than I want, and if I can get the extra clearance by bringing this in 1/2 inch, I would much rather do so. CSF is great. I've used CSF in the past. It's just in GD engine bays, the engine bay is a little bit smaller than they are in GR, GVs, and VAs. So the radiator comes out a lot farther. The fans will stick out, hit the exhaust manifold. You can trim the fans down if you need to, but you know, for my personal preference, I would rather just run a Koyo in here and get that. We got a brand new front lip to replace the painted World Rally Blue one because I'm not personally a huge fan of that. Pair and turbo inlet to toss on this car, power steering pump bracket, which this one is also broken. I don't know why every single power steering pump bracket I have is broken, but if it becomes a problem and it doesn't actually seal how it should, then we will replace that, but I think it should be okay for right now. So what we're gonna start with first today, let's pop out this CSF radiator, toss our Koyo in just so that way I can throw that box away. Then from there, we'll pop in our power steering pump and maybe start on fuel lines after that. Koyo swapped in. You will notice I did cut some things off of this. I did trim down where the old washer or the old overflow bottle was, because with the intercooler that we're using, the Cobb intercooler piping relocates it down there, as well as the washer fluid tank, it relocates that stuff. And I also cut off the metal tabs that Koyo had welded onto this because it's for an automatic transmission or a manual transmission. So to keep those tabs from hitting anything like the exhaust manifold and whatnot, I went ahead and just cut those off. Now I was gonna put the power steering pump on, but I noticed that when I picked it up with the pump attached to it, the whole bracket just split up more. So I went ahead, I just ordered a new power steering pump bracket for this thing, as well as the switch wire for it. So hopefully that'll be here in a couple of days, but that's not really gonna stop us too much. So now I wanna jump over to getting the turbo inlet installed. I should still be able to snake a fuel line under there after I get the turbo inlet on. I mean, I can just take it back off if need be, since we do have our manifold not bolted down yet, so it should be relatively easy. We need to switch up the wiring on our injector harnesses here to be able to plug into our IDs, because I'm too cheap to spend $70 on plug and play adapters. I can just rewire those myself. So let's jump over to our power and turbo inlet. I got a 2.4 inch turbo inlet here in a nice looking black color. So we can go ahead and get this thing installed. This should be really easy. I can just take off the manifold, slide it in, get it to where it needs to go, tighten everything down, so we got our turbo inlet in. So if you're doing it with like a stock car and you got your intake manifold on there, good luck. It sucks. I've had to do it in the past. It's not a fun time, but doing it like this, super easy. Like I said, doing it this way is like stupid easy, because you really don't have anything in the way except the TGV, and you know, that's always a fun time to have to deal with. But it's doable. I know it's doable. I've done it before. Now push! Push like your life depends on it. Push and twist. Turbo inlet will sit right like that. Is it all the way on? No, it's not. Plenty of room. We can still get a fuel line under that to be able to make our fuel lines for our fuel system. Dude, I could have sworn that I bought a bypass valve hose, but apparently not. So normally your back fitting back here would be like a PCV check valve. We're obviously not using that. You'd have one here for AOS. You'd have one here for AOS. Then you'd have this one here for boost controller. So we are using the boost controller one. I'll probably honestly just put it in one of these, and I'll probably put it in one of these front ports. So for now, I'm gonna go ahead and put the fittings in here, cap them off, and just kind of seal them up so that way they don't leak and we don't have any vacuum leaks coming off this. Turbo inlet is in. Like I said, dude, fitment is way better with the soft inlet with the Cosworth. The hard inlet just wouldn't fit with how deep it comes on the bottom. So parent inlet is in, hooked up to the turbo. Next, I want to go ahead and jump over here. Like I said, rewire our engine harness. I should have done this off the car, but I decided to make my life entirely more difficult for some reason. So I'm going to rewire all this up so that way it can accept the injector dynamics fuel injectors on here, so I don't have to buy plug and play connectors, because if I don't have to buy them, I'd rather not, if we're being honest. So let me get this rewired. Or if you don't want to modify your harness and you just want to use plug and play adapters, swing over to our guys over at Rally Sport Direct. You can use our discount code Smeedia and save yourself 10% on any goodies, especially ones that you might be seeing on this 07 STI build. If you got a Subaru that needs some love, hit them up. We're all wired up for our injector dynamics in here. Everything is plugged in nicely. Did all 4 of them. If you're gonna be doing that and repinning your stock harness instead of buying plug and play adapters, and you wanna save the 70 bucks like I did, make sure, I'll link a set of these down below. Make sure you have a specialty set of tools for crimping. As you guys can see, these are, you can't use pliers, you can't use anything like that. You need to use these. If you can't pass a simple tug test on your wire, where you go to pull the wire and try to pull it out of the connector with like moderate pressure, it's gonna fail in the car, especially under vibration, everything like that. So you wanna make sure you do have the proper electrical connectors to be able to do that stuff. With these, the way they work is you take this little green guy, you slide it down the wire, and then there's that little recessed nipple on the end of it, and that little recessed nipple will sit inside of that little arm set on the back of the connector. Then you'll crimp down the wire inside of the middle portion, and then the end portion is what will actually clip into the connection and go into the injector. So just keep that in mind. I opened up the front lip because I wanted to throw the lip on next, but then I found out there's other goodies that I had ordered inside of there. So cabin filter, God knows when it was changed out in this car after everything else I've seen in this thing. So we're gonna go ahead and swap out the cabin filter. If you don't know where it's at, you don't know how to do it, it's right behind the glove box. Super easy to do. I also got new side skirt trim for our side skirts. Even though the car's been repainted, they did paint over a lot of the stuff that shouldn't be. This side doesn't even have a trim piece anymore. I also got new clips, so we'll probably wait on putting those on, but yeah, there's not even trim on either side. But they painted the trim also and it just didn't look good. Same with these. They shouldn't have painted those, and underneath that's supposed to be black. It's not a big deal, but it's like just the little stuff. It's just a cheap paint job. Let's hop in. Let's do our cabin filter. I'm curious to see what that one looks like because I guarantee you it's probably nasty. Funny, I had a feeling my camera wasn't recording. So pulled out the cabin filter. To do that, you just kind of drop the glove box out of the way. And I think I found Stuart Little's house. When I pulled the filter out, it started out with just kind of this, which made me think possible mouse. And then I came in here and I looked, I was like, oh my God. They stuffed so much stuff in there. Now, the best case scenario, I don't see any wires that are like chewed up, thankfully, because mice will 100% eat your wiring in your car, and all the wires on here don't look nibbled on or anything like that. So I think we're in the clear. So I'm gonna start reaching in there and pulling all this stuff out, and hopefully I don't come across a dead mouse or a live mouse for that matter, and there's not shmoo stuck everywhere in here. Not that I'm scared of mice, I just don't want them. What in the hell was this mouse using? Anything he could find? Thing down there first. Hello? Mr. Mouse? Is there a mouse in there? It looks like the last owner knew that there was a mouse in here because part of the blower fan has been undone. So I'm gonna have to screw all it back together. It's not a big deal, but it's like, if you knew you had mice, why didn't you do something about it? Like I said, no wonder, man. That thing did not feel like it wanted to come out either. So, all right. New cabin filter in. Well, here's all of Stuart Little's house. That's everything I pulled out of it. I made sure to feel around in there. I don't think there's any dead mice. There could be a dead mouse somewhere in that. I'm not gonna sift through all that to find out. So I'm just gonna leave that right there for now, and I'll pick that up in a little bit. For now, we're gonna jump back up here and we're actually gonna toss our lip on now. So it's got this lip on here. I'm just not a huge fan of color matched lips. I like the contrast of not like black against blue, or black against whatever the color of the car is. Plus they're two different shades of blue. You guys can see it on camera. That's a lighter blue than the actual bumper. Garbage. Personally, I like it. I think it looks way better with the black front lip. And it's not like two-tone anymore, so it's not crazy noticeable. That actually helps a lot. I did order the headlight kit, so that way we can restore those headlights later on. I am curious, for any professional painters out there, or any people who paint, I guess professionally is what I'm trying to say, if I wet sanded this whole car and then polished it, would that help the paint? I really don't want to go to the extent, I'm not going to wrap the car because I just don't want to. I don't want to wrap it. The paint is very mediocre at best. So I'm kind of curious, if I wet sanded the whole thing and then repolished the whole car and then protected it with like a ceramic coat or something, would that help? Would that help the car? Like the paint, the physical paint underneath doesn't look bad. The overspray, I can live with that. I can get mirrors or whatever and fix that crap. But like for the physical paint, it's not bad. There's just a lot of orange peel. There's some like runs and some stuff in the paint here and there. So I feel like I could fix it. Like, don't get me wrong, when you open up the door jambs, there's obviously a paint color difference here, but I mean, you'll only see that when you open the door on the outside. I feel like it's not crazy bad, but I just don't know. If I wet sanded the whole thing, would that fix it? So now that we got our front lip on, we're gonna keep going on random boxes that I have back here that we need to install, and that is our coolant overflow and washer tank relocation thing. So with our intercooler piping, it's gonna come up, around, down, up into the engine bay. That's why we cut this whole guy out here. And then we will have our washer overflow tank sitting somewhere in this general area. So we need to relocate this, move this out of the way. I can move this out of the way because we still need to install the battery tray and everything like that, because we're using my old battery mount out of blue from Melee. So we're repurposing our Melee battery and full throttle setup there. So we'll go ahead, let's pop this guy out, reinstall our new stuff here, and kind of figure things out. I don't think it'll be too bad. I've done this before. If I've done it before, we can do it again. His name is Jebediah. That's such a good yawn, Mochi. All right, first thing we gotta do is get this wiper doodad out of our way. I'm pretty sure I can just, oh! Okay, well that's gotta come out. I am so very confused. Okay, how do you come out? Let me clean out the washer reservoir real quick, then we're gonna put this adapter from Cobb in there. Woo! Man, that thing was fighting. For now, I know we can put the overflow tank in. That's easy. There's one 10 mil on the frame down here, and this bracket literally just bolts right to it. Just gotta kind of tuck it underneath some of these harnesses here and slide that right there. Right there. Pretty sure these will line up, and by golly, they do. So, this does not look like really fun to install. So that guy's gonna go about right there. I'm gonna show you, oh, okay, please don't go anywhere. I'm gonna show you guys this after I get this installed, and you're gonna be like, what the hell? We have our coolant overflow here, and then the washer relocation here. So the washer relocation actually bolts onto the bracket to this guy. So it's kind of like a through method there. So in order to fill up the washer fluid, you just need a funnel, put the funnel into that guy, and then it'll fill it up, and then our coolant overflow there. So I'm gonna do one more thing tonight before we end this video out, and that is toss in our fuel pump hanger. So I modified this hanger, I did this off camera. I modified this hanger to accept a Wall Bureau 450. So we have a single Wall Bureau 450 on here. We still have our fuel temp sensor right there, fuel level sensor, bada bing, bada boom. I am using a stud kit on here that I made, so I drilled this out. So we have studs for the fuel pump, and we'll build a relay harness in a later video for this. I'm not a big fan of that little bend right there, but I just couldn't get it any other way. If we have fuel pressure problems, I'll just buy a radium hanger, but this is a really good way to save money for those who want to run a bigger fuel pump on a stock hanger. You can definitely do a 450 like this. So let's go ahead, toss this guy back in the fuel tank. That way I can get the fuel tank sealed up. I'm not gonna put the back seats in yet, because like I said, we still gotta make a relay harness for this, but we'll do that at a later date. So in addition, I've also got a brand new fuel pump hanger gasket right here, just to make life a little bit better for us. So these are always fun, because you gotta kind of fish down the fuel pump hanger first, then rotate, and we'll do like a spin job with all this stuff to be able to get it in there. And that's always a fun time. Woo, that smells a little bit like fuel. So the 450 should be plenty of fuel for, to be honest, a decent amount of power. I think I just happened to have the 450 sitting around when we tossed it in. I'm not 100% certain on that. I may have had different plans for this car to begin with, but you know, that's all right. Okay, because we evolve, we grow as people, and we realize that sometimes we don't need all the sauce, we just need some of it. Just looks like a factory fuel pump hanger in there, but we got a 450, wire harness plugged back in, feed line, return line, evap line. beautiful. So that's kind of the downside with daily uploads. I feel like I don't get enough done in the videos, but I mean, I'm doing it I'm working for like 6 hours and I gotta go edit I still gotta do life stuff. So I feel like we still made good progress. Coil radiator mocked up, parent turbo inlet in, injectors wired up, overflow tank in, washer expansion tank thingy in. We got the new front lip on, evicted Stuart Little and put in a new cabin air filter, and got in our Walbro 450 and Walbro. I think people want me to call it Walbro. We got the fuel pump and the fuel pump hanger. So tomorrow, the new AC condenser shows up so we can put the radiator in permanently. I bought the new power steering bracket today, so hopefully that comes within the next couple of days. We have our alternator. I have spare alternators at the house if we absolutely need them. Once we get the power steering, actually no, we don't even need that in. Once, tomorrow we can actually just put the intake in also. We can do all that tomorrow though, so. We'll get the battery tray mounted up. We'll finish up the last of the little stuff that we need to here and there. We need to get the rear flares. There's actually way more to this than I was anticipating, and we're just kind of going through and fixing up everything that the last owner kind of left for us. That's all right though. We gotta fix the headlights. It's gonna look really good when it's done. I'm really excited. The tires for the STI showed up today, so I need to take two or four of the Reg Masters back to the house tonight. I'll probably take two of them and take two of them to go get the tires mounted up, so that way we can get the 265s on there. But good progress. Good progress. We'll get the new wheels and tires thrown on the RX-7 as well. So that's all I got for you guys on this one with our 07 STI and the daily uploads throughout December. So if you guys like the video, you know what to do. Go to hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver, cyan, whatever color it turns for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to be, put in one of these corners. No idea which one quite yet, but with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies. Woo!